Hello, everyone, and welcome to Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life by Veena World. I'm Sunila as usual, and this week Neil is taking a break, but we have a very special guest who's come from halfway around the world, from a city that is known as the City of Angels. It is also known as the City of Flowers and Sunshine, the Big Orange, La La Land. I'm talking of LA. And to speak to us about LA here today is Adam Burke, the President and Chief Executive Officer of LA Tourism. Welcome, Adam. Welcome to Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life.
Thanks so much, Sunila. I'm so thrilled to be back in market.
Yeah, we're so happy. And Adam, I was just wondering, and when I was reading about LA and I was checking, the similarities with Mumbai, I realized that LA and Mumbai are actually twin cities. So did you feel anything similar? I think it's your first time to India and to Mumbai. But is there anything similar that you find in both the cities?
There are actually so many similarities. It's remarkable. I think the things that spring to mind, first of all, is the obvious connection between Hollywood and Bollywood.
Bollywood, yes.
I think you look globally, and we're both recognized as two of the leading centers for cinema and for the creative arts. So I think there's just tremendous commonality there. Beyond that, we're both coastal cities.
Yes.
So, there's a certain thing when you live right along the
water.
The
beach and the water.
It really, there are so many things to do. I think we have a shared love of things like food.
Yes.
There are so many amazing street food vendors here, and it's the same thing in Los Angeles. It's interesting, the food truck scene in the U.S. really took off in Los Angeles. At any given point in time, we have over 4,000 licensed food trucks. But I think the thing that really brings Angelenos and Indians together is I've just been struck by the warmth of the Indian people. And I think that's what I love about Los Angeles. I think a lot of people know that LA is a very diverse community.
Yes.
Angelenos hail from 140 different countries. There are 220 different languages spoken. So people feel very at home in LA. And I've felt the same thing here. Everyone's incredibly warm and welcoming.
I know, and I think it's the perfect twin city to have with so much of, commonalities around. It's really, it's amazing to think of it that I think a lot of people in Mumbai always dream of going to LA. And I want to start with the name LA itself. It means the City of Angels, which itself is fabulous. I think the name came with the Spanish, if I'm not wrong. Is that correct?
It's interesting. The history of Los Angeles, so the original name of Los Angeles is El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora la Reina de Los Angeles. The original group that founded LA was a group called the Pobladores. The Pobladores were 44 settlers who were all of indigenous Native American, Latino, or Black descent. So kind of the heritage and the history of LA is one that's deeply rooted in diversity, which just, I think, lives on to this day in LA.
Yeah, and just yesterday I was on a heritage walk of Mumbai, and we were speaking about how the name Mumbai actually came from Mumba Devi, the goddess who was here. So again, we have a similarity there. And then, of course, the name changed; it became Bombay, and then it changed back to Mumbai. But yeah, it does mean it is the name of the goddess given to both the cities. So that's something that's interesting as well.
Exactly. The translation of the Spanish is, literally our city of the Lady of Angels.
Wow.
So Los Angeles is quite literally the City of Angels.
City of Angels, yes. And this City of Angels is waiting for all, everyone from India to come in there and experience all the wonderful sights that you see there. So I was asking my daughter, Adam, and I asked, a lot of the Gen Z population and all of others that what comes to your mind when you think of LA? Two things came up again and again. Of course, Hollywood and everything to do with Hollywood. And everyone seems to think that everyone in LA is really fit. They have super chiseled bodies, and you have this beach, and everyone's like no one walks, everyone just jogs on the beach. Is that true? I mean, how does everyone stay so fit out there?
Well, I mean, I think the only thing I've chiseled in the last 3 years has been a lot of chocolate, but so I'm trying to lose the pandemic weight. It's funny you say that, though, Sunila, because when we do focus groups around the world, there's definitely this perception, right, that Angelenos get up, go for a quick swim in the ocean, come back, have a green smoothie, do a bit of yoga, roll into work around 10, take a nice break for lunch outside, have cocktails. I mean, I would love to have that that lifestyle. The good news is you can certainly do that in LA, but it's much more varied than that. So yeah, that is the perception.
Yeah.
I think the beauty of LA is it literally has something for everyone.
Yeah. Sure. No, I was seeing a video and they said that, for people in LA, a simple avocado is never good enough. It has to be organic. Everything has to be organic. There's a lot of emphasis on wellness. And I really think, Adam, it's really the city that makes people look good. I think they are like everyone else, but the city is so amazing that everyone just looks amazing out there. I mean, golden beaches, the beautiful sunshine, excellent weather. You're tanned, you're fit, you are
Well,
bound to look good,
well,
right?
listen, I wouldn't argue with you. I'm originally from Chicago, so I grew up with Midwest winters, and LA is my adoptive home of over 30 years now, and you couldn't get me to go back. I love the city of Chicago still, but the year-round weather in
Yeah.
Los Angeles is gorgeous, and I think what a lot of people may not realize, we've got not only the 75 miles of gorgeous coastline, but we have hundreds of acres of incredible natural national parks.
Wow.
So, hiking has become a real craze in LA because during the pandemic, when we were all going a little stir crazy, people rediscovered all the incredible outdoor activities in LA. One of the things I love about it, again, going back to when we talk to people around the world, people love to come to LA for the obvious things like going to the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures or going to Universal Studios Hollywood. But the one thing we find is people say what they love about LA is the way it makes them feel.
Right.
They come to LA, and,
Right.
and I love the way they describe it. You can come and really just be your true self.
Wow.
You can have fun, you can create, you can experiment, you can do things that you might not necessarily do at home. And I think that's the beauty of Los Angeles. It can be whatever you want it to be.
And I think that is the essence of a true holiday, to do things that you would not do at home or you would stay at home, right? And
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. I have a nephew who's studying in LA, and I think over the pandemic and later, I saw he's not a very outdoorsy person, but all he was doing was posting photos and videos of him climbing the Griffith Observatory. I think he went for a
Yeah.
hiking trail there. So it's amazing. That's a part of LA that is ignored, like as a tourist, because you're only thinking to tick off all the must-do sites and the must-do attractions, and you often forget that there are really a good amount of hiking and biking and just walking trails all around LA, aren't there? Like you mentioned quite a few. So that's quite amazing. So I like to call it the city of stars, and I think it's both the stars, like the celebs, and also the real stars. So I think Griffith Observatory is also a very popular place to go to, isn't it?
Very much so. I mean, we're fortunate because, for example, if you go to Griffith Observatory, not only will you have this gorgeous view of the skyline and the stars, but you can actually study the stars. You can actually, so the scientific community in that area is incredible. You look at groups like the Jet Propulsion Laboratory that's actually involved not just in looking at the stars, but going to the stars.
Wow.
But the thing I love about it, I mean, I would not for a moment claim that I'm an outdoors person. But the beauty of Los Angeles is, to me, my outdoor LA is incredible rooftop dining, bars.
That's my kind of outdoor too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're not necessarily going to find me doing a run along the beach, which a lot of people love doing.
Yeah.
But what's amazing is because of this incredible year-round weather, we've had this boom of these incredible rooftop gardens that are restaurants, bars, boutique hotels. That's my idea of the great outdoors.
Yeah, no, and when people come in, of course they want to see the major sites, and I
Sure.
think the entire area of the Walk of Fame and the Dolby Theatre, I think that's where the Oscars are held. The Chinese Theatre, where a movie is, everyone wants the premiere to be held at the Chinese Theatre. So these are really the important points. But is there something you want to say that this is something you just shouldn't miss when you come to LA? Is that your favorite?
So I'll answer it this way. The first thing is, it's interesting. We found that in terms of the kind of evolving behaviors from consumers, there are kind of two categories. And certainly these two mix as well, but
Yeah.
there's what we call kind of the checklist traveler
Yeah.
who wants to really go to the major attractions. And some great examples, we're just really fortunate because there was so much investment in LA going into the pandemic, and it didn't stop. So we're in the fortunate position that there are actually more reasons to come to LA now in 2023 than there were in 2019. So for, kind of that checklist traveler, we've got things like SoFi Stadium, which hosted the Super Bowl last year. You can actually, and this is what I love, it's the experiential part of it. You can actually go down at field level and you can practice being an American footballer. You can try to be a place
Wow.
kicker. You can try being a quarterback. Things like the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures wasn't open in 2019. And it really celebrates the love of cinema in a way that's never been done. And more recently, Super Nintendo World I have to admit, Sunila, this was hilarious because I'm 56. I had to convince my kids. I have a 20-year-old and 18-year-old. I had to persuade them that Mario was really a thing when I was growing up. They said, "Oh no, that couldn't possibly be." But it's at Universal Studios Hollywood. Super Nintendo World just opened, and it's this incredibly immersive 3D interactive experience that's going to be multi-generational. I played the large arcade games all the way through. Kids now are doing the same thing. But then the second part is, and this is what I really love about LA, it's our neighborhoods. So I think the first thing I would say to people who don't necessarily know Los Angeles well, Los Angeles County has 10 million people, very much like Mumbai has 15 million. The way to really make LA more accessible is to realize that it's 6 distinct regions. And every one of those regions has a different flair, a different flavor. So if you're staying in the Beach Cities community, that's going to be a very different experience than staying in Hollywood or staying in downtown LA. So what I love is really discovering neighborhoods. And that's that second group of travelers who, and I think you're right, particularly millennials and Gen Z, they want to experience LA like a local. So one of my favorites is the Arts District, which is just about 5 minutes outside of downtown Los Angeles. It's interesting, Condé Nast Traveler actually recognized it as one of the 23 must-visit destinations in 23. Wow. What I love about the Arts District is it combines so many of my favorite things. So incredible food, amazing restaurants, incredible craft cocktails, all these rooftop bars, these gorgeous street murals. Street art is really, so closely associated with Los Angeles, with renowned artists like Shepard Fairey and Mr. Cartoon. And so there are these gorgeous street murals combined with these incredible boutique hotels and wonderful architecture. So what I always tell people is you can get around LA car free. Go and spend 3 or 4 days in the Arts District. You can get everywhere on foot and you'll never run out of things to do. So that's what I love, is discovering the neighborhoods in the hidden LA.
Yeah, you're right, because the last time I went to LA, I actually went to a farmer's market, and it's one of the oldest farmer's markets. And it was the last thing I expected to do in LA. I thought, I'll go to the beach, I'll probably walk around the Walk of Fame. And, here's actually a tip for everyone who's listening, is that not many people know that Sabu Dastagir was one of the first Indian actors to have, been given a star on the Walk of Fame back then in 1960s, when not many Indian stars were actually well known in Hollywood. But I think it's incredible. I think he was known as the Elephant Boy, and he won a star there. So I think the next time we go there, we're going to go looking for that star. But there are so many of our favorite actors and others that you see everywhere. I mean, we've seen it in the movies. I mean, LA is kind of feels familiar in a way because you've been watching it in different movies all the time. So, when you get there, you get to Rodeo Drive and you have this feeling deja vu that, hey, was I here before? And then you remember, no, it was the movies. So I think there are a lot of locations that you can go scouting and looking at and ticking off that, okay, this movie was shot here, and those were, a lot of movies that you would recollect and something that you've been enjoying this far, right?
You're exactly right, Sunila. We actually on our website have a lot of those visits curated because people love the idea of being able to see something they've seen up on the silver screen and then come to Los Angeles and go to those locations. And the thing that a lot of people forget is if you look at Universal Studios Hollywood, if you look at Warner Brothers Studio Tour, they're not just theme parks. They're actually actively filming production studios. Yeah. So when you take the tour, you're very likely to see live filming when you take the tour. Yeah. So you really get a behind-the-scenes look at Hollywood, which is just so much fun.
Yeah, I was on the tram tour in Universal Studios, and there was actual filming going on. So it's amazing to get that feeling that you're not just going to a theme park. There is something going on here. And which brings me to the question, a lot of people love to do the celeb homes tour. They go around there. So I don't know, have you really spotted, I'm sure you met a lot of celebs being in LA, but is it common to see someone just walking on the road like that?
Interestingly, it really is.
Wow.
What's remarkable, I think, because living in Los Angeles, you get somewhat accustomed to it, is, generally we tend to leave celebrities alone because, we feel like they have the opportunity to enjoy the same LA we do. But I mean, there are some favorite haunts that are phenomenal star sighting locations. A great example is there's this incredible hotel, and you talk about the Tide of Hollywood. It's called the Garland. And it's this oasis of a property. It was actually named by Trip Savvy as the best family hotel in LA. It's named the Garland for the Hollywood starlet Beverly Garland, and her family has owned the hotel for decades. And in the 20s and 30s is where all of the great Hollywood stars would hang out. Well, the front yard at the hotel is this phenomenal restaurant. It's also one of the best places for star sighting. So there are so many great restaurants that are frequented by celebrities, but the front yard of the garden is a great place for star sighting.
Wow. Okay. Adam, one more thing I've seen is LA is really popular with families as well. The kids love the beach. They love Universal Studios, and I think even Disney in Anaheim was the first one that was introduced people to the world of Disney in that sense. And Walt Disney himself overlooked the whole building of Disneyland out there. But other than the theme parks, what would you recommend for families to do out there in LA?
Honestly, there are so many things to do. It depends on the age of your kids. So everyone knows about the major attractions,
Yes.
right? And certainly we expect Super Nintendo World is going to be massively popular. But it depends on the age of your kids. So if you have younger kids, and they're not so little anymore, but when they were, there's this wonderful museum called Kid Space. And it's really geared toward much younger kids. And there's everything from this beautiful outdoor water feature that, of course, kids in water, they absolutely love that.
Yeah.
But it's really geared toward younger children. As they get a little bit older, we've got, all of these incredible things to do. So one of the things we find is incredibly popular is being outdoors and being able to take a surfing lesson, learning how to do stand-up paddleboarding. That's incredibly popular, especially as you get into the teen years. And then the other thing we found, and again, it's very multi-generational, is there are a lot of people who are coming to Los Angeles to take advantage of experiences they can't get anywhere else. So we're finding families with kids are going to SoFi Stadium and doing that on-field experience.
Yeah.
Or as they get older, the Porsche Experience Center is another great example. You can actually, drive around in a closed circuit loop. And if you're really brave, you can actually do a hot lap with the trained driver. I tried that and I left my stomach somewhere around the first hairpin turn. But as they get older, there are those great experiences you get to share. And then for people who have kids our age, we're finding a lot of people are checking out rooftop bars and restaurants.
Wow, there is really so much to do out there. When people were actually looking at itineraries for California, they would keep a week for California. But I think, Adam, the way we are speaking about LA, I think very soon people would not shy away from planning a week in LA because there is just so much to do. And like you said, I think it's really important to decide where you stay. Because if you want to enjoy the theme parks to the best with your kids, I like to stay close to the theme park, if not inside the theme park itself, because even at breakfast you meet characters, at lunch and dinner, and then you just go from the morning. So you can just set off from the morning and be in the theme park, do that bit, and then come to the city and enjoy the city really well.
You're exactly right. I mean, there are terrific hotels like the Hilton Universal City is literally right there next to Universal City Walk. We've got so much hotel product. It's interesting that even during the pandemic, we added 5,000 new hotel rooms in the last 2 years alone. And one of the things that I think is really important for visitors from around the world, particularly from India, is we're in the middle of a $15 billion modernization of Los Angeles International Airport. So a lot of people may not realize that the west gates at the Tom Bradley Terminal have been open for a year and a half now. It's 15 brand new state-of-the-art gates devoted to international arrivals. So coming to LA has never been easier. And that experience, they really feature local restaurants. So if you're at that in Tom Bradley Terminal, you'll see some of our favorite local restaurants like Border Grill featured. Stores like Fred Siegel. These are really LA staples. So even once you arrive in LA at Los Angeles International Airport, you're already getting the LA experience.
Yeah, and Adam, you also mentioned the arts. And I think art in LA is something that you have so many opportunities to go and see different kinds of art, different kinds of museums are there. LACMA is out there. You have the Getty Villa and the Getty Museum. And I think what happens is very often, if you don't really plan it properly, you reach there and then you realize, hey, I wish I had left time for, I had factored in time to go and see this because this is of interest to me. So I think a lot of time needs to be spent on planning your LA, holiday properly, on planning the LA vacation properly. Because I came across something called the urban light. So there are a lot of things that people don't know.
Yeah.
And it just looks so beautiful. And you want to share the beauty that you see, right? And then when you have these amazing photos with the amazing backdrops, like any backdrop in LA is great, the boulevards are great, the beaches are great, but just one look at the urban lights and it's something quite stunning, and it's also quite sustainable, isn't it? I think it's all solar powered, and it's amazing how it's working.
You're exactly right. I mean, what I would say is two things. First of all, what I love about LA is we're a city of old meets new. You know, we're a city of luxury meets something that's accessible to everyone. So you look at the various things there are to do in LA. Let's talk about food again, my favorite.
Yes.
So we have everything from more than 200 Michelin-rated restaurants,
Wow.
including nearly 30 one or two-star restaurants, all the way to this incredible street food scene. And because we have such a diverse community, at any point in time, there are over 4,000 food trucks in operation in LA. And things like the original farmers market that you were mentioning that's been there for over a century. You look at the same thing with arts and culture. So LA now has more museums and performance venues than any destination in the US. So you have these major ones like the Getty, like LACMA, like the Broad, all the way to these incredible street murals that you can just walk down the street and see some of the most amazing art you'll see anywhere in the world. So I love the fact that it's that juxtaposition of, if you want to find something that's really exclusive, very high-end, that's there. But there's also totally accessible LA, and it's something for everyone.
Yeah, you're really right, because I think even Indians today, food is so important when you travel. And I don't mean Indian food. Yes, we love Indian food, and we like to go to restaurants abroad when we are visiting there, but maybe once in 3 days. For the remainder of the days, we want to taste the local food. We want to get a taste of that. So I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite cuisine, and would you recommend one place to go to in LA,
Oh,
or maybe two or three
you're
that
going to
you
get me in
feel
trouble now. Now you're making me pick. It's
where
like
people
picking among my
must go
children.
and try some food?
So one of the things I love is there are so many exciting new concepts coming in all the time. You already mentioned the original farmers market. That, I think, is a can't miss, or Grand Central Market, because they both feature so many food stands
Right.
from, you know, vendors who it's been passed down generation over generation. So if you really want a varied experience, I would definitely go to Grand Central Market or the original farmers market, but come hungry, because you can spend the whole day there, breakfast and lunch and dinner. But my favorite right now is called LA Cha Cha Cha. I'm a
Okay.
big Mexican food fan. So, you know, much like there's sister city relationships between Los Angeles and cities here in India, LA and Mexico City have a very close bond. So the original Cha 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 is in Mexico City. The owners there just opened one in the arts district called LA Cha Cha Cha. And to me, I never cease to be amazed by LA's ability to surprise and delight. So when you go up to it, your first question is, am I in the right place? Because it's a simple gray door with a bridal boutique on one side and an empty store on the other. And then you open the door and all you see is stairs going up to the top. Well, as soon as you get to the rooftop level, they've created this complete garden terrace where it's gorgeous lights, the LA skyline in the background, some of the most amazing Mexican food you will have anywhere, because it's the same recipes that come directly from Mexico City. But if you like spirits, they're also doing mezcal flights. So just like people have done wine flights, they're actually curating mezcal, which is a very traditional Mexican spirit. And it just combines so many wonderful things: gorgeous outdoors, incredible food, incredible desserts. I think LA Cha 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 is a can't miss.
Yeah. I think everyone's really looking forward to go to LA. So, Adam, thank you for speaking with us. It's amazing. It's really great to have this conversation. And I know we can go on talking for another hour or two just on LA and the
I'd love
hidden
to.
secrets and other things to do. But I'm sure we'll do a follow-up podcast with you sooner or later. But as we're coming to close this, is there any one secret tip, or you have an insider tip, you live in LA, that you would like to give to our listeners so they can enjoy LA to the fullest?
I think the best thing is exactly what you said, Sunila, which is it's all about the planning. You know, because it's such a geographically dispersed destination, the best thing to do is go to our website, which is discoverlosangeles.com. And on the website, we've already curated a whole series of 3-day itineraries. Because to your point, a lot of people love the idea of, you know what, I'm going to be there for a full week. I want to spend 3 days, let's say, in the Arts District. Then I want to spend 3 days in Hollywood, or maybe 3 days in South Los Angeles, which is an incredible heritage district, or, you know, in the beach cities communities. So if you go to the website, you can search either by region, or you can also search by what you have an affinity for. So if you want a culinary themed vacation, if you're traveling with kids, if you're traveling with a pet, traveling on a budget. All those itineraries are already there on discoverlosangeles.com. So I think if you do that planning ahead of time, it makes it very easy to experience LA car free. And I would encourage people to spend time in a couple different neighborhoods, because that's how you're going to get the best experience, really doing a deep dive on all the diversity in Los Angeles.
Thank you so much, Adam. It was really nice speaking with you. And I'm sure people are planning their LA holidays now. And LA is a nice gateway city to California, I think. It's either your first or the last stop when you're doing a holiday to California. So that should give you more than one reason to come to LA and keep coming to LA again and again, because you probably can't do everything in one trip. But hey, with a gateway city like LA, I'm sure you can keep coming back there and keep discovering LA. And thank you for listening in. Keep listening to Travel, Explore, and Celebrate Life. Next week, we shall be back with another episode. And do write to us and let us know which destination you would like to speak about. But till then, we'll see you in LA. Thank you, Adam. And thank you, everyone. See you.
Thanks, Sunila.